This only happens here at Chautauqua Institution, where we could announce the fact that we're having Willie Horton here, and I get a phone call from Mark Altschuler, who in turn introduces me to Jim Daniels, who is teaching a master's class this week at Chautauqua on English literature and poetry. Jim, as it turns out, is a native of Detroit and a lifetime Tigers fan. And he's published a number of books, plays, films. He's a playwright. His poems have been featured in Garrison Keillor's Writer's Almanac and Billy Collins, who's the poet laureate, poetry, 180 anthologies, and it goes on and on and on. He currently has been for the last 30 years a teacher at Carnegie Mellon, but for our purposes today, our good friend Jim Daniels wrote a poem about Willie Horton. And he published that poem some time ago, and he said, my God, Willie Horton's going to be in my backyard. Unbelievable. So, Jim, you want to come down and share your poem? And the story.
Thank you. I had the pleasure of talking to Willie briefly this evening, and I showed him a photo of me when I was 12 years old shaking hands with him. And that's the subject of this poem. Now, one of the things that I want to explain briefly, because I think Willie was an ambassador in so many ways in the Detroit area. The first black person I ever shook hands with was Willie Horton in this photo at the auto show. Because Detroit, in the Detroit area, was very segregated. There were a lot of racial tensions, and Willie always transcended those throughout the community. The poem is called Willie the Wonder, which is the only way we knew him growing up. In 1968, after the Tigers won the series, I stood with Willie Horton at the auto show, shaking his hand while he posed next to a giant bat and a pretty blonde took our picture. Willie had his best year, 36 homers, 85 RBIs, 285 average. They say he once broke a bat just by checking his swing. I tried to squeeze as hard as I could, 12 years old. I stood off to the side, waiting while another blonde rubbed smelly stuff on my picture, one of the early instant photos, and Willie stood there, shake, click, His black and white is streaked a little brown now. Willie's muscles still stand out. You can't see his face very well, though I remember him as calm, passive, my hand in his. Just another sweaty palm, another white kid in the long line.